Hello guys and welcome to the Jurassic Park compound 6-foot turkey Thanksgiving Day special. For this video I wanted to paint a feathered dinosaur, being that it's Turkey Day and all, so I grabbed the Mattel Megaraptor. And then I did a Google search on this dinosaur to get some more information on it, and it turns out that it's not even a raptor at all. So yeah, that's pretty confusing to me, but no worries. He's got feathers, he's got a great sculpt, and I haven't painted it yet, so he's a perfect candidate for this video. So grab yourself a slice of pumpkin pie, settle in on the couch, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So first off, I gave this guy a light coat of clear matte varnish just to provide a surface for the paint to grab onto. Then I'll go in with some game color leather brown. Also, all the paints that I'm using will be in the description box below if you want to grab them if you're planning on painting along. So I'll go ahead and thin the paint down and shoot it through my airbrush and apply a couple of thin coats. Also, one thing to note, I wanted the feet to stay red, so I'm just fading that leather brown down into the red plastic and playing off that color. Next up, I'll go in with some bone white, and I'll do a rough dry brushing over the raised areas on the underside, and then I'll thin the bone white down and apply a very thin coat over what I just dry brushed. Doing this will provide depth in the paint job, and then to really make it pop, I'll go in with some dead white and add a very light dry brushing over the final highlight areas. For the final highlight color on the brown skin, I'll go back in with just that straight leather brown that I used at the beginning, and I'll lightly hit all of the raised areas to make them pop. You can see here how it just ever so slightly makes the scales pop out, and it gives depth and detail to areas like right here on the fingers. So all the base body color is done. Now it's time to throw down a little pop of color. So on this guy, I'm feeling like a blue face and a blue neck would look pretty cool against that brown body. So the first color to go down is going to be ultramarine blue. I'll thin this down in my airbrush and then lightly build up that blue skin tone. Once that blue skin tone is down, now we got to build up those highlight spots. So I'm going to take some Vallejo Sky Blue and mix it with the ultramarine blue to create a mid-tone highlight color. And I'll hit all of the raised areas with that. And then I'll go back in with just the sky blue and do the final highlight pass over all of the raised areas. Now I'll take some Vallejo Blue Wash and I'll use that to darken up the eye socket areas. And that'll just add a little shadow and some depth to the face. The next step will be working on the feathered areas. So I wanted the feathers to be a darker brown color, so I went in with Beastly Brown and painted all of the feathers one solid color, and then I gave them a highlight pass with the leather brown, because I really wanted the quills and the details to shine through with the next step I'm going to do. So the final thing will be adding a wash with, you guessed it, our secret weapon, Transparent Burnt Umber, Liquid Talent in a bottle. This will darken up the feathers, but because it's transparent, it will also allow the highlight areas that I did the dry brushing on to pop through. So when applying the burnt umber ink, I like to cut it with a little bit of water because it is very strong right out of the bottle. So it's always best to test it first with some water cut into it to sort of play around with the shade. Also, one thing to note, the ink is very glossy when it dries, so you will definitely need a matte varnish to take that shine away if you're going for a matte finish. With all of that done, now I'm going to add a pop of color to the tips of the feathers by doing a light dry brushing with Bloody Red, and I'm just going to focus heavily on the tips and kind of fade it out as I get towards the center of the feathers, and then I'll go in with Orange Fire and do a final highlight pass. And it's the exact same process for the rest of the feathers all over the body. Now I'm going to jump in with some burnt umber in my airbrush and start to do some blending and shading, and then I'll go back in with the dry brush highlight colors and re-highlight those areas just to tie everything together. I wanted to add a red throat to this guy to give him a little warmth in the neck, so again, just taking that Bloody Red and applying a nice smooth fade all over the neck, and then I'll fade it down into the underside to give the belly some warmth and color. So we're at the home stretch now, and it is final detail time. So I'm taking some sun yellow and hitting the eyes with that, and then I'll add a small black pupil. Once the yellow has dried, I'll take some transparent burnt umber and hit the scoots, and then I'll go in with some leather brown and very lightly go against the grain so the paint just lightly hits the edge, and that really will kind of create depth and give them a slight weathered look. Then I'll grab some black and I'll hit the claws, and then once the black has dried, I'm going to give them a very light dry brushing with Stonewall Gray to make the cracks in the skull pop. And then I'll paint the mouth with my flesh mix and then touch up those stubby blunt teeth with some bone white, and I'll add a light burnt umber wash to the teeth and gum line just to kind of help separate them and add a hint of grittiness. The last thing to do will be to seal the figure with a couple of light coats of matte varnish to lock all of the paint in, and this big feathered guy is done and ready to rock and roll. So as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and watching. I'm very thankful for all the love and support you guys have given the channel over these past 7 years. You guys are the reason I keep slinging paint on these dinos every week. So from my family to yours, I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving or 6 Foot Turkey Day. I'm going to sign off and take a little vacation and spend some time with family, but I'll be back in December because winter is coming to the compound, and with it come the Arctic themed dino repaints. So stay frosty. If you need more Jurassic related content, you know where to find it. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I'll see you around the compound.